Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone is having a great day, and thank you for being at our community call. As always, please just remember to follow our code of conduct and treat each other with kindness. Another reminder is that this call is being recorded. If you do not wish to be in the recording, please just go ahead and leave the call now. The recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, usually within a week or so. And I just want to, I guess, particularly shout out Jason for doing so much work to make sure we get those recordings up. So Jason rocks. With that, our primary agenda for today is going to be going over the team's 2025 plans. I know we're a bit of the way into 2025 at this point, but each year, Steve posts a blog overviewing the team's investment areas. And these aren't so much like a promise of things we're going to accomplish, but instead areas of focus for the team. So we're going to go through the agenda, and engineers who are on the project, primarily a few PMs, will speak as well. We'll just speak at a high level to the investment area. And then we'll have a docs update from Sean, and then we have a couple of awesome community demos that I'm pretty excited about. So to kick things off, our first focus area is PowerShell Core, and specifically PowerShell 7.6 will be the release that will come out later this year. We've already released a few previews of 7.6, so please do go check those out and test those. As always, the earlier in the release cycle that we find out about issues, the more likely we're going to be able to get a fix in before we reach GA. As always, with our investment, security is a primary focus for us. So we're always partnering with other teams and looking into security features to make sure we're delivering as secure of a product as possible. And with that, I'm going to pass things over to Dongbo, who's going to speak a little bit to how we're looking at community PRs right now, and then talk about a couple of our RFCs that he has up.
Thanks, Annie. I will share my screen. So we created the PowerShell team reviews investigation project to make it transparent for our community members to see what the team is actually working on regarding to the issue investigations and PR reviews, which will also make it easier to track the progress of the reviews and investigations. I think it's public. It's in the PowerShell project and the first one, review and investigations. So you can take a look and send us feedback. So that's for the partial reviews. And since I'm speaking now, so maybe I should continue with with a few items that I'm not gonna cover, which are we're gonna make some effort to improve the native command integration with PowerShell. There are two targets here. The first one will be update the passive variable for winget, and it's not just winget; it's for like winget, chocolatey, or maybe other packaging managers as well. So basically, the problem is that today, if you use winget to install a package, the passive variable from the current PowerShell session will not be updated, which is by design. But it causes problem because when you install the package, you cannot use it directly. You may not be able to use it directly within the same session because maybe there's a new pass adding to the passive variable, but the current PowerShell process doesn't know. So this feature is basically try to make it special when you are invoking a packaging manager like winget or chocolatey, so that we detect if there's any changes in the user passive variable or the machine scope passive variable, and if there is, we bring it back to the process level passive variable so that running a command after installation will work. That's the first one. The second one is trying to make it easier for a native command installer to install the tab completers or feedback providers or predictors along with the native commands. So today, when a tool tries to do that, they will have to like change the user's profile to include something so that when users start a PowerShell session, the integration is available there, which is like error prone. So we try to come up with a design to make it auto to like make make PowerShell able to auto discover and auto load the completers, feedback providers, or predictors that come with a native command installation. So we have published 2 RFCs here. Let's see. Yeah. So the first one is a pass update for 2 installation in a PowerShell RFC repository. The first one is pass update for 2 installation. The second one is the draft spec for auto discovery, feedback provider, and tab completers. So please take a look and leave your feedback over there. It's just like currently there are like this pass update. We have reviewed the proposal with the team, so it's more mature compared to the other one. The other one is mainly a draft spec for now, so we're definitely gonna need more feedback from the community to see how we're gonna improve this proposal. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dongbo, and thank you for the thoughtfulness that went into those RFCs. Please do go ahead and take a look. Now is the best time to give feedback on those. And I also just want to thank the community for the idea about using a GitHub project and kind of pushing us to be better in that area. Next, Justin is going to talk about a very popular issue that we've been looking into, which is sort of what's called maybe the OneDrive My Documents issue. Justin, are you here? Justin may not be on the call.
Let's keep moving forward. I'll find Justin.
Okay, sounds good. Next up, the next kind of bucket of issues we're going to talk about is PS resource management, and Amber is going to cover these topics.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so as Cindy mentioned, I just wanted to talk about some updates with the gallery and PS resource get. The first is regarding Microsoft Entra ID support for the gallery. Over the past few months, we actually had an intern on the team who worked on integrating Entra ID with the gallery, specifically with the intention of allowing users to publish a package without using API keys. So with this support, you can actually use the publish PS resource commandlet to log in with your Microsoft credentials and publish to the gallery. And our goal with this was to provide a more secure alternative to API keys. And we're really excited to have this work in progress, but it'll probably be a few more months before it's fully released. Second thing is that we actually GA'd PS resource get, the MAR and ACR support within PS resource get. So if you want to test this out, you can get it from the gallery. Our latest version is 1.1.1. And last thing is that we've been working on a huge effort to modernize the gallery infrastructure. The big thing here is that we're moving off of cloud services, which is what the galleries run on for the past like roughly 10 years or so, and moving on to Azure Kubernetes service. So at the moment, we don't anticipate any impact to users, but if there's ever any concern from our side, we'll post updates through the banner on the gallery's website or through the gallery's GitHub status page.
Awesome. Thank you. Sydney. Yeah, thank you so much, Amber, for all those updates and all the work that's gone into this. It's a lot of work to maintain the gallery, and it's very much appreciated, I know, by our community. I do want to also just briefly touch on the MAR or Microsoft Artifact Registry. The only like group of modules that we have in there right now is the AZ module. So please do test that out and give us feedback to make sure the experience is working for you as we onboard more modules. Again, this repository is for Microsoft owned modules specifically. So if you have any sort of priority list of Microsoft-owned modules that you would like an MAR, that's also helpful feedback for us to encourage teams to publish there. With that, I will pass things over to Tess to talk about Windows SSH updates.
Actually, let's skip. Justin just hopped on, I saw.
Oh.
Justin, you're there,
Yeah.
right? I just saw you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let's finish the PowerShell side and then we'll move on.
Perfect. Justin, do you want to speak a little bit to the My Documents issue you've been working on?
Yes. So I know it's like a very, the community has really been wanting this for a long time, and finally getting around to working on it and hashing out the details. I think we're thinking about moving PowerShell module path over to the My App directory and not the My Documents folder, so that the OneDrive sync doesn't happen. And that'll lead to like a performance improvement, like loading PowerShell would be a lot faster, and having a lot of PowerShell documents, or all the PowerShell contents would be in a place that other programming like infrastructures would have it in the My Apps document. So yeah, we're working on it, and we're currently working through an RFC to document all the features and like where exactly we would move it and how the migration would work. So we're still hashing that out, and yeah.
Great. I think that the RFC is still in a bit of a draft state, but feel free to go give it a read and start giving us feedback on the proposed changes. And thanks, Justin. As you can see in chat, very popular issue. With that, I will go ahead and pass things over to Tess to talk about Windows SSH.
Thanks, Sydney. Yeah, to expand on the planned investments for OpenSSH this year, we'll continue pulling in changes from upstream. If you're following along at home, upstream release 10.0 earlier this year. So we will be taking those changes in and first releasing a preview release on GitHub, and eventually shipping the latest stable release with Windows. Another effort for OpenSSH and DSC is developing an SSHD config resource to simplify managing and configuring the SSHD config file. We've talked about that in previous investment blogs before, but hopefully this year we will definitely maybe get around to it. And there will also be a demo later on from Amir on some of the SSH posture control work that will hopefully utilize the SSHD config resource eventually.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sydney.
Yeah, thank you. I think next up is Jason to talk about DSC v3.
Thanks, Sydney. Hey, folks. It's really good to see all of you. So let me provide some information, both referring to the blog announcement and some additional comments. So we started this journey about 2 years ago. This has been and will continue to be a very active project. Let me give you an example. I need to give you some links here while I'm doing this. So DSC version 3.0.0 GA'd way back in March. And let me give you some links to those announcements. Well, that didn't work out well. That didn't copy and paste very good at all. Let me try one more time, see if I can get the rest of them. Sorry for the delay. Well, let's go with that and see what happens. So since the time of these announcements, we've done some servicing releases on 3.0. We have 3.0.1 and 3.0.2 have come out, and you can get those from GitHub or from the Microsoft Store. But wait, there's more. So along the way, since March, if you check out our GitHub, you'll also see that since March, we've started to release DSC version 3.1.0 previews. We are actually up to preview 5 already. So this is primarily work that we've been doing for internal partners towards build. But you can tell this is a very active project, and you can also get those from GitHub along the way. Also, as we've been marching through DSC version 3.1, I just wanted to make sure if you didn't catch this out of the blog announcements that you got the links here. We're also, you can see what features that we're working on at the moment, which ones have been approved and which ones are under consideration. So let me give you some links to that you can follow us along. We certainly could use your feedback as we go through 3.1 as we continue to work on it. I don't have any information today on when that will release, but we are actively working on it right now. Now, as Tess had mentioned, a couple of other things that you'll notice from the announcement. One, they're working on a resource for SSH, SSHAD. I'm having a hard time this morning. They're working on a resource for DSE v3 for SSHD config. I finally got it out. You heard about that. Also, I want you to notice from the blog post that we're actually going to make PowerShell a resource for DSE v3 so that you can configure all your settings in PowerShell in a declarative manner. And in addition, I'll quickly add some additional comments before I shut up and go away. Additionally, other teams, you will notice also are working on resources as they adopt DSC v3. And you may have seen some of that traction with Winget and DevBox, and you will probably be seeing some others. So watch for those announcements as they gradually start to come out. Also, additionally, the DSC working group has been reactivated to discuss and resolve issues. Thank you to those working group members. I really look forward to working with you folks as we progress through this and your feedback. Also, in additionally, while I don't have anything particular to announce today, you have probably noticed in our announcement blogs on DSC v3 that we are working on Bicep as a DSL for DSC v3. I just wanted to say that this work is progressing rather nicely. Thank you, Andy, for all of the hard work. And we'll be making additional public announcements in the future as the timing makes sense. With that, I certainly invite Steve to add in anything else that he'd like to, but Sydney, thank you very much.
I'll just add one thing real quick, like DCV 3.1 is, as Jason mentioned, being developed very quickly. So don't be surprised to see a 3.1 release, and then I'm not saying when, but relatively soon, let's say, and then we'll immediately go to 3.2. So right now, DCV 3 is under rapid development based on our partner feedback, also community feedback. So we're trying to get there into where we need to be as soon as we can. So don't be surprised that we'll have more frequent releases of DCV 3 than PowerShell. PowerShell is kind of on a 1-year cycle because we're aligned with .NET anyway. So.
Great. Thank you both for that. Next, Stephen, if you're still here to talk about AI Shell.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about some of the investments we're doing for the next year on AI Shell. Predominantly, we'll be taking kind of the feedback we've been working on. We've been getting based on AI Shell to improve the tool overall. We're trying to make it a little bit more delightful in the CLI for you, better kind of bug support and enhanced, we've done a lot of work already for better macOS support, better Azure PowerShell support, and expansion of new agents. We'll be working also on better integration with PowerShell itself. And the hot new thing is MCP. The model context protocol. We hope to surface AI Shell as a MCP client, so you can enhance its capabilities pretty rapidly with the vast variety of MCP servers that are out there and usable. So a lot of that work's in progress there, but we should be having a release of AI Shell out soon, a new release of AI Shell. Of course, you can follow along on the GitHub page, submit issues, give it a try, test it out. We're doing a lot of work there, and would love any feedback. So yeah, I think that's all we got. If anyone's going to be at Build, I'll be sharing a little bit about it at Build as well next week. And yeah, I think that's it. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephen. And that's a good reminder too. If anyone is going to be at Build, please do let us know so that we can make sure to connect with you. With that, I'm gonna pass things over to Andy to talk about all the miscellaneous other tool updates.
I'm not sure if this is news or if we shared it previously, but like the big miscellaneous tool update I wanted to share is the major update we did to PowerShell Script Analyzer. I'm just going to go ahead and find which window I want to share here out of 12 windows. This one. Yes, PS Script Analyzer release. Okay, great. Yeah, so this came out at this point a couple months ago. This was late March, but you know it had been a long time since we got an actual full release of PS Script Analyzer out. In fact, I think before 1.24, our 1.23 was last October. So I was really happy to work, especially with our great community member. I know him as Bergmeister here, Christoph. Really helped me a lot go through. I mean, a dozen in each of these categories. We did drop PowerShell from 3. We do now only support for this version of PowerShell Script Analyzer, PowerShell Windows PowerShell 5.1 or PowerShell 7. But otherwise, we went through and we got a whole lot. Like as I said, a dozen enhancements got in, a dozen bug fixes, a dozen process fixes, which is really all about like making sure we could release this securely. And we had a whole lot of new contributors. So I love this community success here. Thank you to everyone who made contributions to PowerShell Script Analyzer. This kind of falls under my purview because one of the main ways that people use PSSA is via the VS Code extension. And so a lot of issues often come into the extension and we have to transfer them over to PSSA. And trust us, we know it's still our same issue because we're still the same people going, looking, and fixing those. But speaking of, we have a preview out. I push that out the same day. If you've been using the pre-release version of VS Code PowerShell, then you've been testing out PSSA v1.2.4 for us. So thank you for that. I'm actively working on rolling this to stable. That said, Justin, another community member, probably on the call, Justin Grote and I are working on a major overhaul of our actual testing infrastructure in VS Code. It's just been a little too long. It's still using a now out-of-date version of ESLint. So this is getting worked on as we speak. Once we have sorted out like the move to VS Code's latest testing packages and get all of that sorted, we'll do one more pre-release of the VS Code extension and then roll that all out to stable. So you will have PSSA v1.24, the latest beta of PS Readline, and you know, a great new extension release, hopefully with very minimal bugs because we haven't done a whole lot of other changes to it. So yeah, thank you so much. I don't think I have too much else here to share.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy, and thank you to all the wonderful community members who contributed to this. Next up, I have Sean for a docs update.
All right, let me share my screen. I'm going to drop some links in the chat here. Not a whole lot of docs updates in the last month. April was busy with the PowerShell Summit activities and so on. There were a few minor releases of PowerShell and updated the release notes for those. As Andy was talking about with the release of Script Analyzer 1.24, we've also updated the docs to match. There's been some changes to some rules, a couple new rules and a couple of changes to existing rules. So you can find all those here. And then the other big news I wanted to share was finally got around to retiring some content in the Windows PowerShell module space. So if you're looking at that documentation, you'll see that it no longer includes Server 2012 and 2012 R2. Those have been archived, moved to our previous version site, so you can still access that information. But that allows us to get over 5,300 files out of the current version's repo, which helps with our maintenance. This isn't content that I own or actively manage, but I help out the Windows team quite a bit with. So I was happy to help them get this retired. That also included retiring the content for MDOP. So Server 2012, 2012 R2 and MDOP are out of support, but you can still get the documentation if you need it. And that's my docs update.
Thank you so much, Sean. That concludes the first sort of section of the call. And now we'll move on to our wonderful community demos. First up, I believe we have Israel.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Let me give you presenter rights.
Okay.
Okay, I think you should have rights now.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Israel, and I work for Jane Street. And for the past year or so, we've been working here on a project to migrate our code base to PowerShell 7. We have a pretty large code base, about 500,000 lines of code. So it was essential that we can do this efficiently. And so we came up with a workflow that kind of relies heavily on what was just mentioned, PS script analyzer, which wonderfully integrates with VS Code and also allows you to write custom rules. So it was really helpful in doing this. The main reason that I'm showing this is kind of like to continue the conversation on the topic of migrating to PowerShell 7. There is a special section for that on the GitHub PowerShell discussion board. So yeah, please check it out and contribute, so on. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so this is pretty much this on the left side here, you can see a list of rules that these are custom script analyzer rules that we wrote. And in the main panel, you can see this is just a bunch of code that we wrote that will kind of like break PowerShell 7 for various different reasons, deprecated type and deprecated methods, and various different things. I'm just going to turn on the script analyzer rule so we can see what gets flagged up. And you can see the type that I mentioned. You can see the out file command, which changed the encoding between PowerShell 5 and 7. You can see the method that was deprecated. GetWMI object was deprecated also. There's some peculiarities about how select object work in PowerShell 7. We flagged that too. And so on and so on. Parsing HTML is also not available in PowerShell 7. So this is another thing we flag. Now, the same thing that you get this in VS Code, you can also get when you run it in the terminal. If you just run against the command, the script file, you can see all of these different issues that came up with it. And this is very useful because you can take it into your CI/CD pipeline and essentially maybe have like some kind of a comment or a marker on the file that says, oh, this file is ready for PowerShell 7. Don't let anything that may conflict with that go through. And then for every file like that, you just run this command. And if anything comes out, you block it from releasing to PowerShell, to block it from releasing. So it's very useful, like I said. The only one other aspect of it is that we kind of incorporate into this, especially if you want to do it with the CI/CD pipeline, you need to have a way to retain some of these despite having an issue with PowerShell 7. So I just picked a random module from the PowerShell gallery, the speculation control module. There isn't too much interesting here. There are two instances, I think, that it uses the GetWMI object, which on its own would be a problem, but here it's inside a version check. Wouldn't run if it's more PowerShell version 3 or higher. But we want to keep it even for PowerShell compatibility. So, but at the same time, we want to also incorporate into our workflow of preparing the files to be ready to PowerShell 7 and so on. So we need a suppression here. And the suppression takes the form with this kind of decorator. which you can, it needs to be before the command line binding or the parameter attribute. But this basically will suppress all of the error from this command, from the avoid deprecated command. If you want to be more granular, you can add another parameter here that basically says, I have it right here, that basically says the specific thing that you want to highlight, to suppress. And if you look at the problems tab, you can see that we have only one issue here. If I remove it, we'll have two, and that's kind of the whole thing. So yeah, you can have an iterative approach here. You fix a couple of issues, you suppress a couple of errors, you rescan your files, and so on, and over time you can make a real dent in the work towards preparing it to PowerShell 7. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. I just wanted to highlight again the discussion channel on GitHub. I will drop a link later. And also, we publish these rules that I showed on GitHub, and I'll drop a link for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that this discussion and these rules will benefit so many people. It's such a common problem of how to migrate your scripts from 5 to 7. So I really love to see the community support and folks helping each other. It's really great. Alrighty, we have one more community demo today coming from, I believe it was Amir on SSH.
Yeah, that's coming from me. Thank you so much, Sydney, for the handoff. I want to first off thank Tess and Stephen and Michael and the whole PowerShell team for helping me enable this feature. So I really want to thank them there. To start, I will kind of just show a couple of slides just to kind of give everybody a frame of reference in regards to SSHD-based management. So bear with me as I try to present to teams. All right, so I'm sure you guys can see this now. So today I'll just be covering the SSHD security-based policies for Windows Server. Just to kind of give you guys a note of how this is built, it's powered by our OS config PowerShell module. It's essentially a modular security configuration stack that works on Windows, and there's a Linux flavor too that supports multi-auth device management across Azure, Azure Portal, CLI, and other local management tools. The great part about it is that it's super modular. It has drift control, which will essentially bring settings back after a change happens. It's portable and extensible, not a huge overhead on any system. It's not permanently tied to any management authority, and it has a declarative style, so things are done a lot easier. But going forward from that, I'll just show you guys SSH posture control for Windows Server, which it also has a Linux flavor as well. So what is SSH posture control? It allows you to enable and configure SSH security posture on Windows Server 2025 currently. And my dev team, who's actually on the call right now, who will be showing a quick demo after I show the Azure policy experience directly through PowerShell, is actively working on a Server 2022 and 2019 experience. It integrates with Azure Governance Services, like I said, Azure Policy, Machine Config, so you can ensure compliance, reduce your attack surface, and ensure consistent SSHD rules across your fleet of devices. It kind of comes in two flavors or two modes, one being the audit only policy and the other one being an audit and configure policy. So essentially the workflow, if you are an IT admin at an organization, would be, I'm going to set the audit policy first, check which SSHD based settings are on my whole fleet of devices, such as the port, such as what MAC algorithms you can connect with, such as what ciphers you can use, and then you can go through with the remediation or audit and configure policy to actually set those rules. So here's a little bit of the rules that are pulled from the Linux version. The Windows version has a slightly different set of rules, but I will drop the links in the chat after this presentation so you guys can actually spend some time looking through it. And in our demo that I'm about to start now, you'll be able to see some of the rules that are in there. So I will stop sharing this presentation and start sharing my screen. All right, so for now, we're just going to be covering very quickly the Azure policy experience, and then I will let folks see the PowerShell experience, which is better catered to this community in a sense. Yeah. All right, so just spun up some VMs a couple of minutes ago so you guys can actually see it in action, right? The thing that I did today was I put in the audit policy for folks to actually see. There you go. I would go to configuration management here within one of my Windows VMs, and this would work for any Arc connected machines as well. And then here I'd be able to see the secure shell preview, which is essentially SSH posture control. After it audited this machine, it showed that there were 9 rules that were compliant and 9 rules that weren't compliant. The 9 rules that weren't compliant ended up being SSH host key, authorized key files, the warning banners, the ciphers, MAC algorithms, login grace time, things that really can affect the security of any of the machines or the VMs that you're working with. So being able to set these rules gives you a stronger security posture across the board. And in the instructions that I will be posting in the chat, it will actually show you how you can actually put in these rules, but I can actually run through a quick demo of being able to actually add this. So first you go to Azure Policy, go to Authoring, go to Definitions, add a policy definition, apply the definition to your subscription. I will name it Configure SSH. I would use an existing category such as guest configuration. Going forward, this will be a built-in policy within Azure, so you will not have to actually import the JSON file for all of this. I would add the policy rules, which will be in the instructions that I will post later. Click on Save and assign the policy to whatever subscription resource group that I'd want to, which for me would be my SSH Windows Server demo. I would add the ability to actually work with our connected machines, create a managed identity for remediation, and then from there I'd be able to review and create. And then after this, it would essentially go through all of the machines that I had created and essentially change all of the rules to be compliant with the parameters that were shown here. So moving on to the PowerShell part, I'm going to hand it off to my wonderful developer, Hongshu, to show you what the experience looks like in PowerShell. Thank you.
So I will show the PowerShell experience for Windows SSH configuration now, and I will share the screen. So basically, we need to install the DOS config PowerShell module on the device, and I can show the experience after installing that module. Amir will pass the link for downloading and installing the module in the chat. So first, we can quickly see if we have the SSH enabled on the device. We can try to SSH into that. So this will be a normal experience for the local. So when SSH into that IP address. And after we have our module installed, we can starting to check the status of its initial state and check the compliance. So this will show the initial default state after enabling SSH and start SSHD server. This will show what is compliant, what is not. We can also get a full list of values and compliance status, just calling the get OS config desired configuration. So this will show all the values, current values, and the compliance reason of it. So to configure it, we can choose to set the default value for all the settings. So, and also showing the verbose message of how we configure the SSHD file. So after this, configuring all the values to its default value, we can get the compliance again. And this will show what is compliant, what is not. And if we go to the client again and we SSH into that, it will have the fact of the banner file that we set, showing the new banner file we set. We can also configure a single setting. So if we do set OS config desired configuration, we also provide tab auto completion for all the settings, and if we choose one, and this will configure only one settings with the custom values. So after that, we can get the compliance again. We can just do get OS config. And this will show the current value with the compliance status. And if we go to the client machine again and trying to SSH into that machine, it will show the new banner file that we configured. So this is the main flow for the PowerShell experience for Windows SSH configuration. That's all.
Thank you so much, Hongshu, for giving the PowerShell version of the demo. I put the link in the chat for you guys to access if you'd like to try it out. It would also have any of the contact information from our team as well if you want to reach out to ask any questions, give any feedback, and wanted to thank the PowerShell and OpenSSH community again for having us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to correct one thing I said earlier. Amir and friends are from a partner team at Microsoft, if that wasn't clear, not directly a community. So thank you so much for being here, though, and for the great demo. And thank you, everyone, for participating today and being a part of our call. We look forward to potentially seeing a few of you at Build next week and then at our June call next month. So thanks again for being here.